Battlebond hits the streets tomorrow, so let's talk about all the delicious, juicy, valuable cards. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to my video on the top 15 most valuable cards from Battlebond. Now, to cover a few things, no, I am not sponsored by Nature Valley. Yes, I do just leave things around. This is my set. If you thought that it was crazy looking at Rudy's set and everything's going on, look at all this, then go ahead, leave your stupid little comments going, dirty up your house. I'm not going to change anything, man. In fact, I'm going to pile more stuff around the more you complain. So go to hell. That being said, glad you're here. Let's talk about some cards, all right? We're going to talk about the top 15. The cutoff value is $9. So everything we're talking about is $9 and more. Now, we're going to do it a little differently this time because I used to put the prices of each card up, but then, of course, you get everyone going, that's not the price. And the whole point of these videos is so that new players don't get taken advantage of. People who don't always check the prices on every single card and go, oh, some people just like to do a one-for-one swap. Somebody go, hey, I want that card. Oh, I want this card, and do a one-for-one swap. So, to make sure the beginners know about the big cluster of cards at the top so they don't accidentally trade them away, that's the purpose of this video. We're going to talk about the top 15. I don't care what you think, these are the current top 15. Sound off in the comments a week later about how it's not accurate anymore and looks stupid. That's you, not me, dummy. So, starting out at the bottom of the list, number 15 is Stunning Reversal. Now, guys, if you're wondering why this card is worth so much money, that's because this is the perp card in the set. As you can see, that's me dangling over the edge. This is Wizard's tribute / threat to me that I am going to die. So it has spiked the value of this card immensely to being a $9 card. Now, I'm not going to talk about the values of the other cards, but this one, of course, because it's based on me, I want you guys to know. So, moving on. After that, we go into the first land that we're going to talk about from the top 15, and that's Morphic Pool. Thankfully, it doesn't have a ridiculous name like Luxury Suite, which is something we're not going to see on this list. So, Morphic Pool is the black-blue of the dual lands. There's a set of 5 of these in Battlebond, and this is the one that these care about how many opponents you're playing with. So, these lands are interesting, but this is the only one that actually makes it onto the list. For some reason, I guess black-blue is a heavily favored commander color or something. I'm honestly not certain as to why this land is worth more than the other ones. But that doesn't matter. It comes down to demand. Let's talk about something a little more interesting. Let's talk about Najeela the Blade Blossom, because she comes in at number 13. Now, this card is really interesting to me. I like this. 3 mana for a 3/2 that whenever a warrior attacks, you can have the controller of that warrior get a 1/1 token warrior that's also attacking and tapped. So it doesn't just trigger on yourself. Like, I mean, obviously, she triggers her own ability because she is a warrior, right? So if you look at it on the face of it, it's like bare minimum, you can just be like, whenever I attack, I can get a 1/1 white warrior creature token. But when you're playing in multiplayer games, especially if in a team game, your teammate can also be getting a bonus from this. And that extra ability, the additional combat ability, yes, it does require all 5 colors, which is insane, but that fits perfectly into things like the King Cube. I'm a big fan of Najeela. I think this is a really neat card. Then we've got a reprint. About half the cards on this list, guys, are going to be reprints. I'll point out which ones are reprints for those of you who don't know. So Mycosynth Lattice is the first reprint we're going to talk about on this list. Now, this is the artifact that makes every permanent in play an artifact. This originally showed up in Darksteel. Nobody cared that much about it, but slowly over time it just kind of crept up in value to the point where now them reprinting it, they have elected to reprint it at Mythic to kind of keep that scarcity, because Wizards is bad for that. They're bad for doing that sort of thing. Oh, I wanted to touch on one other fact while we're going through all these prices. When I did the analysis for Battlebond, talking about whether you should buy it or not, I talked specifically about how these singles prices would tank. And bear in mind that we're still not even past like the actual official release date yet, and the prices are already starting to dip. I've seen the top number of cards here on the list have lost 20% of their value in some cases. So bear in mind that these prices, that if you do look them up, I mean, we're not talking about it here, but these pre-release prices are going to slide a bit downwards. These cards aren't going to maintain the values that they're currently sitting at. So some of these will fall out of that $9 and above category going forward, but it doesn't change the fact that these are still going to be the most desirable cards from the set. So make sure that you're aware of that when you're trading. So we just left off with Mycosynth Lattice, and that means we'll move on to Diabolic Intent, which is number 11 on the list. Now this one has some really cool new artwork. Now I don't know if this artwork was done for a dual deck or something else, or specifically to put in Battlebond, but it looks fantastic. I mean, the fact that it's a purple character like that makes me think that it's one of the Azras, so I think this is artwork specifically designed for Battlebond. But it looks really, really cool. Much better than the original Diabolic Intent artwork. So this is a very useful tutor. This is basically demonic tutor, but with a cost that Wizards feel comfortable actually letting you play with this with, where you have to sacrifice a creature to get that cheap tutor effect. So I really enjoy the artwork on that one. Let us move on to number 10, which is another black card with very interesting artwork, and that is Najeela Revenant. This artwork is very, very interesting. The shade, it has like kind of like a deadly allure to it, right? And this thing is amazing, honestly. I really like Najeela Revenant. It's 6 mana for a 4/4 that pumps with black mana and makes it so that all your swamps tap for double mana. Anything, well, not double, 1 extra black. So if you only have 1 out, whatever. Anyways, I really enjoy cards that increase the amount of mana that your lands produce when it's like a blanket all across the board. Like all your forests produce an extra, or all your lands produce an extra. That's fantastic. So Najeela Revenant is a really nice reprint to see in here. After that, we got number 9. Now this is, sorry if I didn't mention it, the Diabolic Intent and Najeela Revenant are both reprints. The Rowan Kenrith is a non-reprint. This is one of the Battlebond Planeswalker, like brother, sister, twin combo kind of thing. There's 2 of them. They're both worth the same value, roughly, money-wise. Rowan Kenrith is the one that for 6 mana, you get a 4 loyalty that has the ability to turn creatures into tiny little dudes to let a player draw a card and have discounted costs on their spells, or for the instant or sorcery, like copy, doubling, retarget kind of thing. So it's a pretty sweet set of abilities, honestly. I don't like the artwork. I think that Rowan Kenrith looks ridiculous. So for me, the artwork's a fail, but the Planeswalker itself is totally suitable. So I'm down with that. Number 8 is Spellseeker. Now this one's an interesting one. The artwork is really funky. But 3 mana for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an instant or sorcery with converted mana cost 2 or less, reveal it, put it in your head, and shuffle your library. So it's a very specific tutor. But tutors can be very, very powerful. And obviously, I mean, look, it's on the top of this list, and you only get a spell that costs 2 or less, but it'll let you get an instant or a sorcery, as well as coming with a body. So this thing is really, really solid. And honestly, I find the artwork to be really interesting because she's a human wizard, but she's got such inhuman aspects to her. So I'm digging that. Number 8, we just covered. So number 7 is Seedborn Muse. And this, honestly, I'm not surprised to see it reprint because it's a fantastic card. I'm surprised that it's so high in the value ranking, in all honesty. This card, just, I guess, sheerly based on the lack of availability. It's been a while since they've reprinted it. 5 mana for a 2/4 that lets you untap all permanents you control during each other player's unstepped. Not only is it a great card that people are going to be happy to see back, it makes perfect sense in Battlebond when you're playing 2-headed giant team games. So that's an excellent include. Nice to see, and that will probably hold a nice amount of value, but that's gonna dip as well. Rowan Kenrith. So this is the other Planeswalker part of the twin combo. Now she is 6, and by combo I just mean they're a combo like in the arena, not that they are some kind of magic win the game combo. But anyways, coming in 6th is Rowan Kenrith. 6 mana gets you a same 4 loyalty, but instead of the abilities that a brother has, the first ability is force a player to attack with all the guys. The second ability is to basically lightning bolt all the tapped guys that one player has. And the final ability is whenever you activate an ability, you get to copy it as long as it's not a mana ability. So, pretty interesting. I really enjoy both the Planeswalkers in terms of their abilities. And the artwork on Rowan Kenrith, she looks a lot better than her brother. Her brother looks retarded. Nothing has changed. Everything stayed the same. And I definitely didn't find out after the video was done recording that I left out number 5. That definitely didn't happen because we're talking about number 5 right now in the middle of the video. You see how that works? So let's talk about Bramble Sovereign normally in the middle of the video, exactly where it belongs, right before number 4, right after number 6. Doing it right. Bramble Sovereign. 4 mana for a 4/4 that whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you can pay 2, and if you do, that creature's controller creates a token copy of it. This thing is nuts. First of all, 4/4 for 4 is a nice deal to begin with a body. And then you add on the fact that 2 mana and you can make people, it's not just yourself, you can do it for anybody, your partner. It's just, it's absolutely fantastic. So it's an excellent card, really, really good. I love big green fatties, which makes me extra proud that I did not forget it in this video and that it has clearly not been edited and this is all in one beautiful, smooth flow. That being said, let me move perfectly on to number 4. We have an incredibly powerful card. This is one that honestly, I could see holding more of its value over time and sliding less downwards, and it actually has been impacted less by the decrease in prices already, in fact, and that's True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis is amazing. 3 mana, 3/1, that when it comes into the battlefield, you choose a player, and it has protection from the player. And that is insane. It means they can't use their creatures to block it at all. None of their spells or abilities can target your dudes. Nothing they do can even deal damage. Even if they do like a big earthquake effect that deals damage to all creatures, True Name Nemesis is like, nope, doesn't happen to me. It's amazing. And the cool thing about it is you can choose yourself too if you want to make it immune to your own spells. It's just, there's so much versatility to it, and it's a 3/1 for 3 mana. It's so powerful, and it's only been printed a few times. This one is not going to drop as much. I really enjoy this card. Number 3, we've got Land Tax. Now I was surprised to see this, but it works pretty well in a format where you're going to have multiple opponents, right? So this is a really broken ass enchantment where 1 mana it comes out, and if your opponent has more lands out than you during your upkeep, you can go through your deck and put 3 basic lands into your hand. It's crazy. And you don't even have to play those lands. You can just go, oh, you still have more lands than me, and just keep doing it to thin your deck down turn after turn if you're willing to slow yourself down on the land drop. So it's a really potent, really powerful card. I love the artwork. It's so cool. The treasure chest concept that's opening up and you can see a landscape in it and everything. It's just like, is it closing because it's taxing on the land? Is it opening up to show more? Is that you getting land? Either way, the artwork is so interesting to me. I really enjoy it. It's like a chest almost embedded into a 3D scale map or something. It's so neat. All right, that would be number 3. So number 2 is a non-reprint because Land Tax and True Name Nemesis were both reprints. Arena Rector. Now this, the artwork is just awful. 4 mana for a 1/2. When it dies, you exile it if you want to. And if you do, you search your library for a planeswalker and you put it straight into the battlefield. So, I mean, overall, the ability is really, really strong. All right? Like, they had Academy Rector, which does the same thing for enchantments. And that's what this is. It's just the exact same card printed, except it fetches a planeswalker and puts it straight into play. So there's a lot of fun with that. It's a really cool card. The artwork is abysmal. The chick looks ridiculous. And it looks like she's holding like a Star Wars hologram in her hand, not something magical. So the card is a fail in that regard. But in terms of ability, it's fantastic. The card has already dropped like 10 to 15, almost 20% in value just in the last week. So bear in mind that this is one of those overpriced, overhyped cards. That's coming in at number 2. Number 1 is Doubling Season. This has artwork that upsets some people. They don't like it. They feel like it doesn't represent Doubling Season. I have no problem with this Coliseum for the Battlebond setup. It's all good. I mean, yes, it definitely doesn't thematically represent Doubling Season, but that's okay. The card itself is perfectly fine. Doubling Season is a really strong card. The reason that Doubling Season is worth so much money, for anyone who doesn't know, is what it does is it makes it so whenever you put out a permanent, it would come with twice as many counters on it. And whenever you make a token, you get twice as many token creatures instead. Or it doesn't even have to be creatures, any kind of token. But anyways, the real key lies in how it interacts with planeswalkers. Because it doubles the number of counters on a permanent when they come into play, it means that all planeswalkers come in with double loyalty. And if you look at most planeswalkers, if you double their loyalty, that generally means they'll be able to use their ultimate, biggest, strongest emblem-related ability. So Doubling Season allows you to put out a planeswalker and have it go ultimate right away and maybe even survive. So it gets out of hand really quickly. So Doubling Season is the number 1 card. It has also taken a hit of about 15% decrease in value since the last time I talked about it when I did the product analysis for the Battlebond set. So my friends, that is the top 15 most valuable cards from the set. If you're going to be doing some trading with those, make sure to have somebody or yourself look up the values real quick to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. Thanks for coming by. Let me know what you guys think of the top 15. Take a look back there. I got a big old package. Don't know what's in it. We're going to open it in a live stream tonight, so I'll see you guys there. Have yourselves a fun day. And